Hello, my friends. Welcome to the Northfield Radio program. I'm excited you're here with us today. As always, want to say thank you to our friends at Outpost Coffee for providing us with incredible beverages. Check those guys out at outpostcoffeeco.com. So on today's program, I bring back my wife, Jamie Gordon. We talk about marriage, we talk about family, we talk about parenting, we talk about fighting, and what it looks like to have a successful marriage. And so I hope that this conversation with my wife encourages you on your journey this week. Jamie Gordon, how are you doing?
Hey, good.
Glad you're back. I want to talk about what you think is the most devastating thing to a marriage. I want your opinion. This is just strictly your opinion, and how can a couple remedy that?
Well, in my opinion, it would be not spending time with them, not putting their needs before your own, and not pouring into them above all else. And I just noticed that when we struggle, if we're going through a phase where we're struggling, it's because we both have so much going on, or we're putting our kids first, or we're putting so many other things first, and we forget to take time for one another. And also whenever you don't value each other's opinions, or you seek that outside of your marriage, and don't have open communication between your spouse.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that those are things that are incredibly hurtful. And I know that, we've been married for 12 years in May, and I know that you and I have not always done that, and it's been to our marriage's detriment. How do you think how does a couple cure that?
Just try to be intentional with our time and our relationship. I mean, the only way you can come together is if you make time to come together and talk about your week ahead or your month ahead, what that looks like, and just wake up every day and choose to put the other one first, above even yourself and above the kids if you have kids. And
yeah, I know in Ephesians chapter 5 it tells us that husbands are to love their wives the way Christ loved the church. And the way Christ loved the church is he gave himself up for the church. And in terms of he actually laid down his life for her. What do you think that when you see that, how should that be played out in a marriage? In the perfect world, in a perfect marriage, how would that, you think, be played out for a husband to actually do that? What would it look like?
Well, I know that when I see you valuing me and you doing sweet little things for me, and just like tonight, you saying, kids, we're going to pray and we're going to go to bed, and you put the kids down, and now we've been in the dining room just hanging out. And so I don't know. I mean, are you saying practical ways, or?
Yeah, and that's one thing. Just being able to sit in here. We've talked before I hit the record button. You have been enjoying a nice little salad. We've been talking about
eating my leftover Mazzio salad,
and with your Chick-fil-A sweet tea.
Yeah, Arnie, my Chick-fil-A. It's actually an Arnold Palmer. Arnie Palmer. What is it? I don't know. Half lemonade, half tea.
Our son, he's the one who got you hooked on those.
Yes.
So, but just sitting here and talking, and we weren't like necessarily dialoguing on intentional conversation. We're just talking back and forth. We're showing each other stuff on social media. We were going through some of the bills, opening mail. You were getting me insurance card. Just having the conversation where we're sitting together. Just that time where we're together. And the kids aren't here saying, "Hey, Mom, I want this." And there's no arguing and no fighting between the kids. It's quiet.
Right.
I think that's super important.
Yeah, there's no one competing for our attention. It's just us.
It's nice.
Yes.
I do like it. What do you see for us as what do you envision as the perfect weekend? If you could have, if the stars aligned and everything worked out the way it's supposed to, perfect weekend.
Perfect weekend. You and I away from Bartlesville somewhere. I'm not even picky where. I don't know. In a really nice hotel room. And I get to sleep in as long as I want. And then like room service and take our time getting ready, and then just having a whole day or two just to hold hands and walk around and not even really shop, just be together and hang out and wake up when we want, go to bed when we want.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess I'm not very.
That's easy. That's an easy one. I struck gold here, guys.
I mean, in the summer, it would be nice to be like sometime go to the beach or something, or go away to the mountains, but not in the cold. Like, I can't do the mountains.
She's not a cold girl. I like the cold, and she likes it when it's like 75, 80. And I can stand it when it's like 50 or 40. That's my go-to temperature, the hoodie weather. But I don't, I'm not in disagreement. I'd love to go to the beach or go to the mountains. What's
I will say, like, I would add maybe like a concert in there in the evening before we went back, because that's something you really enjoy, and when you're really happy, and I really enjoy it too now because of you, because of how much fun you have, and then it makes me have a good time, and I don't know, I like that. I like date nights where we're at a concert or some kind of musical event.
There was a time when that was not the case.
Very true.
But we've gone past that, and I anytime I take you to a concert, it's usually been a decent concert. I don't think I've ever messed up and taken us to a bad concert.
No, I just remember before I was really into them, you got me a concert ticket for a birthday or something.
It was for your birthday, yeah.
Stephen Curtis Chapman, and I was just like, oh, why are we doing something you want to do on my birthday? This is something you like. You like music and concerts. And then I got there and I wept through the whole thing. It was a great experience. I loved it. It was amazing.
And now she's a Stephen Curtis Chapman fan.
Yes, and then they played this song it was called Cinderella, and I was, anyway, yes, it was a wonderful night, and I had to apologize.
She did, guys. It was awesome, because the whole way down, she was sort of kind of she was sort of kind of pouty, and
You were being very nice.
You were being a little pouty, and I finally said, "What's wrong?" You're like, "This is your thing. You love concerts. I don't love concerts. You do." And I said, "Just trust me. This isn't just the Joe Blow concert. This is Stephen Curtis Chapman. You don't know. You got to see this." And so this
was a long time ago.
It was.
And granted, you have to remember, the audience probably doesn't know, but I wasn't raised around Christian music or Christian radio stations, and so
yeah.
I mean, everything I had heard up until that point I had liked. I just didn't really, I don't know.
You weren't a big fan like Garth Brooks or...
It wasn't like, ooh, I didn't know Stephen Curtis Chapman, but man, I was quickly informed that I should be totally excited about this band, and it was very nice.
And it was good. When you see couples who are doing, just constantly at each other's throats, why do you think that is?
Well, obviously there's a lack of respect for one another somehow. And then also they just haven't valued each other enough to put each other first and to respect each other and to take time for one another. And they've obviously let the world and the craziness of the world, I don't know, finances, kids, job, home, I don't know what kind of stress, and also ultimately they're most likely not putting Christ first in their relationship.
I know that for us, when we've done that, when we've not been as focused as we should be on Christ, we tend to
in our personal relationship with Him.
Sure, yeah. We tend to go at each other if we're not spending time in the Word, and it doesn't. Everybody thinks, oh, Caleb, you have a radio show, or oh, Caleb, you speak, and I'm sure your wife is just all the time. She's just always in bliss. And that's not the case. There's been moments where we get so focused on doing other things, we get distracted, we get angry with one another, and that core idea of having respect for one another and actually sitting down and communicating, hey, this is what my week's going to look like. Here's what my week's going to look like for the next, 7 days. What do you got on your calendar? And if we don't communicate that out, and see, you guys, Jamie's a planner, and I'm not. I just fly by the seat of my pants. And
definitely wing it. Yes,
I wing it. I fly, and sometimes that can be to my detriment. And I will say, in the 12 years that we've been married, that I have gotten way better at communicating.
And I have also gotten better at sometimes just
winging it,
flying and going and being spontaneous. And yeah, it's definitely a give and take.
Yeah, it is. It's yes. And so I think having that time, and I took that advice. We watched we were part of a marriage conference a couple weeks ago. Had Ryan Dobson, and he said, I think it's wise for couples to be a part of counseling, to do counseling, even if they don't have marriage problems, because you do preventative work on your car. And we went to a marriage conference just because, and we actually we came back and revisited that just not too long ago, and it was Matt Chandler's marriage conference that he does with his wife, and that the idea of sitting down and planning out a week and sharing calendars is something that we did occasionally, but it just sparked that back in my mind to say, okay, let's sit down and talk about, here's what I have for the next week, here's what I got for the next month, speaking wise or work wise, and you do the same thing for your work and the kids' calendars and schools and things like that. In the idea of when it comes to, especially since you're a girl, how does social media shape how you view yourself and view your marriage and your family?
I really think it's damaging if you don't put a cap on it, and if you don't really watch out how much stock you're putting into it, because we only, we've said it a million times and we've heard it a million times, but social media is normally, most often, the highlight reel of someone's life.
Mm-hmm.
I don't post a picture if I wake up in the morning or in the middle of the night and I'm getting sick, or, one of my kids has gotten sick, or one of my kids has brought home a bad grade, or, you don't post those things. You post the awards that your kids get. You post the, cute dress up days, and that you don't post the days where they're walking out of the house and, oh, were these jeans clean or not, and because laundry hasn't been done. You don't post that kind of stuff. And so I don't know, I think we have to be very careful with social media.
What do you think it would happen if you did something like that? If you just did posts that weren't the highlight reel? What if you
I've actually tried doing that before, and I got so much more response from that than, because then we're relatable. Women, when you can relate to somebody, that's when true friendships happen, because we all know that we don't have it all together. But and I think when I've been vulnerable or just 100% real and raw and honest on Facebook, I've also gotten a lot of feedback, even if it wasn't ugly or messy, but just, hey, I'm struggling here and I need friendship, or whatever I post that's real. People tend to respond to that because they want someone to be real and honest with them. They want something real, not fake. Yeah,
and I think because of the world in which we live, we have so much fake that's thrown at us, and we've got the Kardashians and things like that that are just so fake and glossed over and photoshopped that a moment of authenticity really does spark, whoa, wait a minute, it's huge.
Yeah, I can be she's she's one of my people. I can relate to her, or I can hang out with her because she would get me. Yes, I definitely think that.
Yeah. What
Needed.
when it comes to being a mother, have you had moments where you feel like you failed?
Are you asking me this question because of our conversation in bed just last night? Yes, there have been. And in fact, lately, this stage of life that I'm in, like Hannah Kate left this morning at 2:33 this morning and went with her junior class to Washington, D.C. She's going to be gone for several days. And it's just, she's 17. She's at a place where, yes, she needs me, but she doesn't need me like she used to. And I was just telling you the other night in bed, I kind of had a moment because I had been cranky all day. It's just like I feel like my older kids, like I feel like Noah's the only one who needs me like he used to. And in all actuality, that's just Satan. That's just the enemy trying to tell me that they don't, because they do. In fact, they need me now more than ever, like we were talking about.
Yeah.
It's just in a different way. And I'm not one that I want my kids babied or coddled, or I'm really not. And I don't. I mean, I'm not hard on them, but I also, I mean, we've been told we have very mature, responsible, polite children. And so it's not that I'm wanting them in my lap still rocking them and things like that, but it's a different stage to have teenagers. And when I'm looking at, okay, Hannah only has one more year of high school, and then the boys are both next year considered high schoolers, both of the middle boys. Like Austin will no longer be middle school. It will be 3 high schoolers and an elementary student. And it's just a different stage of life. And so, yeah, I've wrestled with feelings of, I don't know how to do this. I feel like I did the baby stage really well. Like I felt confident. I knew when my kids cried, I could help them not cry. And I knew what they needed, if it was a diaper change or food or to be rocked or to be put to bed.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I just feel like when they're older, it's harder to pinpoint. And so it's...
Yeah, because you try to have a conversation. Hey, hey, what's going on in your world? You're not acting like you normally...
Right.
And parents of teenage boys will know, testosterone enters the picture, and it really does change the game. There's this element of, and yes, you have a brother, and so you saw that growing up, but having 3 boys and then a husband who
right.
I'm all for tough play, and we go outside, but just running around, playing, having a good time.
Right.
And sometimes that can overspill into the house, and that can get crazy. and
it's, I don't even mind that so much. It's just that, like, they still are so good to kiss me goodnight or say goodbye in the morning. If they don't, I'm like, wait, and they come back and they're good. Like Austin, I had to drop him off today because Hannah couldn't take him to school, obviously, because she's gone on a trip. And I dropped him off today, and I love that was, my role needed. Again, that I was in. And he was like, Mom, roll down your window. And he gave me a kiss on the cheek and said, have a good day. I love you. And and Gabe does the same thing. And Noah does the same thing. So I know, I'm still needed. I'm still loved. It's just a different season. It's just a different time. And I love that they are, growing little wings, and they're becoming their own people. Mm-hmm. I just have to remember that it is Satan. It's a lie from the enemy that.
Yeah, he calls it. He wants to get you. He wants you to make an agreement that you're not needed, that you're not valued by your children,
right? And
that you're screwing them up. How many times have you and I had that conversation? Like, God, I think we're screwing them up.
Right. And I did read something the other day. Can't remember who it was from, but that if you're a parent that thinks or has those feelings that you're screwing your kids up, then you probably are doing it right, because you're at least you're conscious about it. You're worried about that, and you don't want to. Your heart is in the right place. You don't want to be screwing them up, and so but I don't think we should focus on all the negative, and I think that's where the enemy has us. Is he has us focusing on all the negative, and we totally overlook all the positives,
Yeah.
several positives during our day.
Yep. And I think that same exact thing where there's so many positive things that do happen. I mean, like I look at Hannah and she has a desire to want to try to memorize scripture and she loves to lead worship and do these things. But, then she'll throw an attitude and you're just like, oh my gosh, my daughter. But I'm like, wait a minute. That's,
Right.
Yeah, she had this one moment where she threw shade.
And her attitude compared to mine at 17 is nothing. Like, I really even feel guilty saying that she ever has an attitude because really, it's not bad at all. And, it's just the typical, she's going one way, she has goals, she has dreams, aspirations for her life. And when we try to go, oh, Hannah, and she's like, I know. And so it's not, I don't know.
It's not
We have to remind ourselves that she is trying to come into her own person, and we are.
She's got goals, she's
Right.
got goals and hopes that we don't have, and
our
that's okay.
Right, and our job is to love her through that and to give her guidance. And there are definitely things that lines we draw in the sand and say, nope, we're not crossing this, or And she's always been good to listen. Ultimately, at the end of the day, she is all of our kids. At the end of the day, if we are a hard no on something, they are always accepting of that and want to listen to us and obey, because they know at the end of the day we have their best interest at heart.
And I'll be on. Go ahead. Sorry.
Well, I was just gonna say she there's not much that we butt heads on, but that's because I think we have done such a good job, even though Satan tries to tell me daily that we're not doing a good job, and that's what I focus on. But I think that we are we're working ourselves out of a job, which is ultimately what we're supposed to do. And so they are getting to a point where they're making good decisions. And sometimes, even though those decisions that are being made by the 3 older kids are good, it's like, wait, that wasn't my idea, so is it good?
Right.
And that's Satan telling me that, oh, they don't need you anymore because that's not the way you would have done it. But it's not a bad way that they've chosen to do different things. It's just not the way I would have done it. So then I have those feelings of, Anyway, what were you going to say?
And you feel. I was actually going to say the same thing about working ourselves out of a job, and the goal of parenting ultimately is to have well-adjusted kids who are doing things that are smart, I guess. I mean, not necessarily smart, but like that have a desire to want to do the right thing, even when people aren't watching.
Their heart behind what their goals are and their actions and everything is that ultimately Jesus first. And I do love that about our older kids. At the end of the day, they really do want to please Christ and please us and please others around them. And are they perfect kids? No, they're not. They're not at all.
But none of us are. I'm not. You're not.
No.
But that's the thing that we do as parents is we need to be telling our kids, not just telling, but showing our kids that the things that are going to matter is keeping our focus on Christ and not getting distracted with the stuff of this world. I think of Hebrews chapter 12, where it talks about because of these great cloud of witnesses, which if you look at that, it's actually in context examples, like this great cloud of examples. And then you go back to Hebrews 11, the Heroes Hall of Fame, and you see all these people that made it. They some of them quenched quenched fire and destroyed armies, and then some of them got cut in two. And the goal for all of us is to see parents or to see our kids as parents, to see our kids following and loving Christ. And if we set that example, we don't just say, hey, I'm going to send you to church. We go to church
with them, yeah.
And it's just so important to be a part of a fellowship and be on mission together and do things together.
Yeah.
That's the reason I think I every time I go speak somewhere or preach somewhere, I do my dead level best to make sure either all the kids or some of the kids are with me, so they're involved in this and they get to meet the people there, they get to shake the hands, they get to be a part of that aspect of ministry. And I think if you don't do that, it can be
right. Yeah.
It can be dangerous.
You do a good job at including all of us and trying to be on mission all together, and
sometimes it's not all fun and games. Sometimes it's a long drive, and then you get there and it's like a country church where there's 25 people and or 10 people, and you just feel like, was this really worth it? But the kids get to be a part of the conversations on the way there and the conversations back, and
right.
Or sometimes just sitting quietly.
Yeah, and they get to see us do things that, I mean, it's not always comfy and cozy to serve Christ. It's not always.
I like that.
It's not always.
Comfortable is not always the healthiest.
Right.
Getting out of your comfort zone, like doing this radio show.
Exactly.
All right. Well, thanks for taking time out. I know this is just on the spot, just having a conversation with you. This has actually been fun.
Yeah, I will say that one thing I forgot to say earlier is about our relationship, and like something that I took away early on from your dad, that your dad and your mom both told us after a small fight that we had.
Us fight now.
That when we were talking to them about it, and they said, and it struck me, and it's so true, that you're gonna fight, like you're gonna have tiffs in a marriage, and it depends on how you fight, and you have to fight fair, you have to fight for each other, and you have to fight fair, and you have to remember that you're not fighting each other, the real fight is with the enemy, and you have to be on the same page and fight fair. Anyway, I thought about that. I didn't get to say that earlier. So.
Well, I agree. It's awesome. Well, let's pray, and then we'll be dismissed. Father, thank you for marriage. Thank you for my wife. Thank you for the opportunity to be able to talk about what you've done in our lives. God, thanks for protecting us from the enemy who wishes to steal, kill, and destroy us. Thanks for guarding our kids. Lord, I just think about that and how that's, oh man, I feel inadequate sometimes. God, I know that you're more than sufficient. Thank you for giving us the strength to walk through this. Lord, I love you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Love you, babe.
Love you.
This program has been brought to you by DSR, a technology company that has been investing in Bartlesville families for over 35 years. DSR, we deliver technology.